Hello, my name is Rusty Graham, and I am your instructor for this course. I'm also the program coordinator. This week's a pretty short chapter because you have testing to do also, so I want to really briefly touch on the main points. They're discussing in this chapter group dynamics. There's two different groups at every fire department I've ever been a member to, and every fire department in the country. You have the formal group, which is set by all the rules, policies, and procedures. It is ruled by the fire chief and his or her administration. It is very cut and dry. The leader position is static, even though people may change in that position. In other words, the fire chief's role remains the fire chief, whether or not it is in transition to whoever it is. Your captain is a captain no matter what. They have fixed responsibilities that they have to deal with. The other side, and it's the most important side, is actually the informal organization, the group that actually runs it. If you're a volunteer fire department, think about the heart and soul of your group. There is someone there that is usually not an officer, but has been dedicated to the fire department for a long period. That is the person you go to when you have a problem. They're your mentor, your leader, your friend. They're the one that you were introduced to and said, this is the person you want to be with. Really quickly, you're going to ask the question, can this be the same person that's the formal leader? It can be. In some organizations, that person has risen through the ranks and is respected still as that informally they are the leader no matter what. And that's a wonderful thing when it happens. What you have to understand as a formal leader or informal leader, you have to be on the same page. If the informal leader does have issues with the way that the situation is going, you may see in a volunteer organization, especially, a desire to have a nicer way to put it, throw the leadership bombs out. That's something we want to briefly touch on, is make sure that the informal leadership and the formal leadership are on the same page. And that's all that they're trying to get at here. When we're looking at this, the other concept that they really want to discuss is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And as a leader, believe it or not, this is the most important thing that you're going to have to deal with keeping your, if you have volunteers or paid staff. Okay? The very first need that you have to stay alive is your basic life needs. And in the book, it's talking about making sure they have food, they have somewhere to stay, they're physically secure in where they're at. And if they don't have that, until that need is met, you're wasting your time. You have to figure out a way to meet that need. Years ago, as a fire service instructor, we brought in a young man who was having a hard time making those needs met. And we were actually having to be creative to make sure that he had, lunch during rookie school, rides back and forth. And anytime that fell apart, he would fall backwards. He would all of a sudden pull away from the group. That's because he had to keep those needs met at all times. And until we get those met, we can't go any further. And that's the whole big thing out of this. The second of Maslow's needs, all right, I'm human, I'm going to look down. No offense, think about what recently happened. When all of a sudden the people who were getting government paychecks stopped getting them. It put them in fear. Until you have some form of security, you're going to be worried. No offense, having a retirement plan, having health insurance, things that keep you going, okay? Second thing is the social. The third thing is the social need, the needs to belong. And this is something that we have to actually foster in the fire service. And something sometimes we do a poor job of is actually helping these new people come in and join the organization and feel like part of it. If you don't feel like you belong, you leave. And you wonder why. If you have a huge turnover problem, look at your organization. Half the time, the problem is they don't feel like they belong. When I look at students here, if you don't feel like you belong, if I'm not meeting your needs, you're going to leave. You're going to go to another program. I'm never going to hear from you again. And I'm going to go, well, why? Why didn't they stay? Well, they just didn't feel like they belonged. That's why a lot of people say, when you look at the fire service, you see a bunch of white guys about the same age in clusters. Well, that's because they were all friends and they felt like they belonged. Okay? That's what that's talking about right there. Self-esteem. We have to work on this. And as leaders, this is our role. It's to build their skill set. Going through Firefighter 1 and 2. Helping them, motivate them to get into the education system that we have for the fire service. Certifications. Showing them, hey, you did a good job. Telling someone they've done a good job is more motivating than giving money to them. Okay? When you start to build on someone's self-esteem, they'll do great things. And that's what Maslow was actually talking about. If you can build on their self-esteem, they will go higher and higher and higher. And guess what? That's the way the fire service works. As we moved up, or as we are moving up, we're motivating those behind us to keep going because we're still building. You know, when you're a captain, think about the way you're treating the people in the back of your truck. You know, when you're chief, making sure that you're talking to those people that are preparing to move into your job. But I tell everybody in the fire service, the person that's going to replace me is already on this earth. They're already an adult and they're already prepared to take my job. It motivates them to do it. And that's the whole point of self-esteem there. Self-realization is a great thing that we'll never get to. Never believe that you're going to hit the top. The person goes, I know all there is to know. Now, there's no such thing as an expert. I don't care how many times you do something because you're always learning something new. Okay? What I would say here is this is when you realize that I feel most of my skill sets. I am fully functioning in my position and I'm preparing to move up to the next. That's what I would say. As long as we can follow Maslow's hierarchy of needs and know where our person is, we know how to motivate them. Like I said before, I'm going to repeat it one more time. If they don't have food to eat, they're not going to learn. In the 1930s, during the Great Depression, the reason that our school system suffered is half the kids were in here and were almost to the point of passing out, but didn't have food. Okay? I can tell you this from experience being a fat guy. If I miss a meal, I'm not paying great attention in class. Okay? Into the 21 irrefutable laws. I put Maxwell's video on there. I always get a kick out listening to him talk. For those. So make sure that you do your unit assignment and make sure you do your reflection. Make sure also this week you have the module test. Make sure that it's done and your reflection. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. Have a great day.